This is the Our Auto Expert Podcast. Find us on air, online, on mobile, and on your smart speaker. Please subscribe at ourautoexpert.com.
Our Auto Expert. Our Auto Expert. Our Auto Expert. Our Auto Expert.
Now, here's the host of Our Auto Expert,
Our Auto Expert,
Nick Miles.
Locally created, nationally celebrated. From the southeast to the northeast, this is America's car radio show. If it has a throttle, we'll feature it on air, online, on smart speaker, on smartphone. This is Our Auto Expert, where 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily. I'm your host, Nick Miles, along with truck girl Jen. Has some quotes from you this morning, things that you said. You ready?
Okay, here we go.
I really like the ground effects on that TRD, Camry TRD. Mm-hmm. I have a $66,000 plus Mercedes AMG GLC43 in the driveway, and she goes straight to the bright red Camry with the fins on it. with a fin that boom.
Well,
it was like I couldn't hold her back.
Well, it's really funny. Is I guess I'm kind of dating myself when I say ground effects. I think they say side skirts now.
Right.
Yeah.
They're cladding.
It's beautiful.
Cladding. I
love it.
So Toyota have come out with a beautiful TRD Camry. It starts at $31,170. It's 301 horsepower. It does about 31 miles a gallon in the city and it's on the highway. It's fairly lightweight, 3,500 pounds, so it handles really well. And it's just a great piece of machinery. But boy, throw me back to the 80s with bright red, big hips, big spoiler on the back, a lot of blacked out. It's very...
I love it.
Original, dated looking.
It's Fast and Furious looking.
Is it?
Yeah.
Old, maybe first.
The first edition.
Yeah, first edition. The old Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And
But we're going to talk more about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a really cool guest coming up.
We also have been. I've also been test driving the 43, the AMG GLC43 coupe. I love Mercedes coupes. What's the matter? Why are you shaking your head?
Because we have a guest that's going to be...
I know. I'm just telling you.
We're going to talk about that later.
I'm just excited.
Yeah, Nick is so excited.
Just super excited.
What's my favorite about that car?
Huh?
What's my favorite about that car?
I don't know. What is your favorite? Oh, the seats?
The seat belts.
Yeah, seat belts because they're red.
They're red.
We're going to talk to an engineer from Nissan about the new Frontier. Yep, that's right. There is a new engine in the Frontier. One of the new police pursuit vehicles from Chevrolet, the Tahoe Pursuit. Shad Balch is going to join us to tell us about that. The Toyota Venza is back. It was my favorite vehicle of all time. I'm going to see how I feel about the new one. We'll find out about that. The hot new Acura TLX. Subaru announcing a brand new ride. We'll find out what the top excuses are for speeding. What's your number one excuse for speeding, Jen?
I'm going to knock on wood. I haven't gotten pulled over in a
What?
very long time.
Ah!
I know. I don't have...
Call yourself a truck girl and you don't get caught speeding?
Yeah.
Les Masterson is going to join us from carinsurance.com and talk about the top speeding excuses. Also, interestingly enough, we'll talk about men and women and who are the most in trouble.
And don't forget Perry.
Perry Stern's coming on to talk about driving a Porsche Macan. Oh, Cayman.
Yeah, the Cayman GT, I believe.
Whatever.
See if he got a ticket.
Whatever, Perry. Whatever, Perry. I have to tell you, Perry and I compete somewhat in the cool cars that we drive, and I think Perry wins most of the time.
Did you just not have a Lamborghini?
I did.
Okay, and your problem
He
is...
has McLaren.
Well, you've driven a McLaren.
No, once.
Twice.
Because
I've driven them twice.
Okay.
Ferrari?
Don't be telling people I let you drive the cars.
No. I was allowed to drive it. I was
All
on
right.
the same event as you, remember?
Okay. Just saying.
What about Ferrari?
Driven
Ferraris?
I haven't had Ferrari in a while.
I know. It's been 4 years?
They changed your they changed the PR people. And then that always changes things. All right. So we mentioned at the top of the show there is a brand new Nissan Frontier. It has a new engine and lots of cool really cool stuff. Melaina Vasko is an engineer from Nissan. She is from the Technical Center, North America. She joins us on the radio show to talk a little bit about this brand new Nissan Frontier. First of all, thank you for taking part of your weekend to join us. I have to tell you that I think that the Frontier now is one of the most dynamic drives, because I got one of the new Frontiers, and that new 9-speed transmission, tell me that you worked on that.
I sure did, yep.
Yeah, there you go. It's so smooth. And even though the architecture is fairly old, like I think it's 17 years old, you guys have certainly done a good job in making it refreshed with the new model. So tell us a little bit about what was on the sheet. What were you told you needed to do with the vehicle when they wanted to refresh it?
So there were a couple things. So as you know, Nissan has a pretty long history in the midsize pickup segment. And so adding this new engine and transmission to the Frontier really just builds on that heritage. So the biggest thing that we wanted to do was deliver the most efficient engine and transmission combination we could, kind of building on what we had already done in the 2020 Titan, which everybody knew was great. Those that had driven it had nothing but great things to say about it. So we wanted to bring that into the midsize segment. So combining the 9-speed Jatco transmission with the all-new VQ38 3.8 liter V6 really did allow us to offer the most fuel-efficient and most powerful truck. So our truck now has 310 horsepower, so it's the most powerful truck in the midsize segment. We were able to improve our 0 to 60 time by 7%. So that's something the customer can feel every time they leave a stoplight or a stop sign. We're also more fuel efficient than our outgoing 4-cylinder model. So again, giving that efficiency benefit to the customer. And then on the transmission side, adding those 4 extra gears really allowed us to create a smooth, direct, crisp feeling every time you shift. So what we were going for is that right gear at the right time, regardless of the scene that you're in, whether you're driving around the city at slower speeds, whether you're entering an on-ramp, merging into traffic on the California freeways, or if you're towing or off-roading and you need maybe that to hold that lower gear for longer. Always being in the right gear at the right time and shifting when it needs to. That's what we were really going for. And this 9-speed transmission delivered exactly what we were going for. It really is the heart of the current Frontier and the next generation Frontier. So we're super excited about it.
And you did it all for under $20,000.
Yes.
Which is, I think it's one of 4 vehicles that Nissan has for sale right now under $20,000.
Yeah, that's something that our Frontier customers really, really love, right? The value of the Frontier. And so we didn't want to take that value away from them, but we wanted to give them the best, most efficient powertrain performance that we could. And we really were able to deliver that. And we were super excited when it all kind of came together in the perfect combination, if you will.
I know that towards the end of last year that I'd been talking to Nissan product people, and they sort of had hinted that the Frontier would get sort of some design refreshes, or we would get some engine and mechanical refreshes this coming year. But I bet when you guys were working on this and getting it all ready to go, you didn't really realize that COVID would come around, and that has done something very strange to vehicle sales. It's pushed those smaller trucks, what they call the half-ton trucks now, the mid-size trucks. It's pushed those up, where some cases now that mid-size truck market is 3% above what was predicted without COVID. So now these vehicles are really, really hot.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something we're really excited about, not only for the 2020 Frontier, but moving into the all-new model that we've got coming. We already knew the mid-size segment was starting to grow, right? So previously it had been a lot of the baby boomers, those sort of that generation. But now you see younger people getting into mid-size trucks, right? They're more sporty, they're off-road capable. So this COVID situation, as you mentioned, really boosted that, and we're super excited to be able to offer these products to the customer in the right time. Nobody loves that COVID happened, but it kind of puts it in the right time for the mid-size pickup segment.
Now, I also noticed a few things about the truck. The capability is great, but I mean, and some of the product people tell me constantly, and I honestly, I have to sort of ignore this because I'm not really sure about it, but they say that millennials don't want to drive the same vehicle as their parents. And a lot of times their parents had small SUVs and minivans, so they're always looking for something that's slightly different. But I noticed, and that's one of the things, but I noticed the vehicle seems to be really geared to sort of off-road adventure lifestyle. Just looking at it, the roof rack, the bed liner, all of these things are sort of set the vehicle up for, somebody who might like to take off to the hills for the weekend. Yes,
that's actually exactly something we found in our market research. Like I said, the outgoing model of the Frontier was really geared and purchased by that baby boomer kind of generation, and trying to look forward into the next generation Frontier with our midpoint in 2020. Definitely gearing towards that younger buyer, that more adventurous, go anywhere, pick up and go for the weekend kind of mentality. You can take it off-roading. It delivers the efficiency and the power that you need it to. It has the spec and feature, the roof rack, the Utilitrack in the bed, that sort of stuff that you can easily just throw your gear in and go. And that's kind of what the millennials or the upcoming generations are looking for.
Right.
That's different than what their parents had. Yep.
I'm excited. I was excited to drive it. A vehicle that's been around since pre-1960s, which is kind of cool, in different generations. But I'm excited to see it back, and it was a great drive. And I'm sure it'll go through a full refresh at some point, or a full from the ground up remake at some point, because it's obviously super popular. Melaina Vasko from Nissan. She's the technical center person from North America, and an engineer who helped bring the brand new Nissan truck to the market. Stand by. More to come. We're going to talk police cruisers next on Our Auto Expert.
You're listening to Our Auto Expert.
Catch up with previous episodes of the show, our website, ourautoexpert.com. You can hear all past shows, see automotive videos, and read insider car stories about your next ride. Our Auto Expert is where 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily. You'll find it all at ourautoexpert.com. Like me, a really nice police vehicle, by the way. I had a police vehicle here in my home state when I was driving around a few weeks ago, a while ago now. And, you're not allowed to turn the lights and the sirens on and everything when you're on the street, because that would be illegal. However, it does look a little bit like a police vehicle, even though it had blacked out sides. I went on patrol with Gresham Police. They're such a great police department. Good guys up at Gresham. I went on patrol with them. And it was kind of funny. When I was driving the vehicle around, I would sit in front of a truck on the freeway in the slow lane, and people would come flying past, and they'd see the police vehicle I was in, and I'm like, they'd stop on like 54 miles an hour. It was always fun to do that.
Isn't that funny? Because we know like the best spots to speed, and it's like,
I don't know what
come
you're
on,
talking about.
cops.
What are you talking about, Jen? Speeding?
Yes, it's your favorite thing.
What?
Yes.
So wrong.
How fast did we go this morning in the AMG?
We didn't break the speed limit. My friend is joining us on the phone. He represents the Chevrolet brand, Shad Balch, to talk about the new Tahoe Pursuit. First of all, Shad, do you get to take one of these home ever?
Well, I feel like that should be part of the job, right? If I've got to
Yes.
talk about it, I certainly need to know how it drives.
Right
Yes.
on.
Who should? I was invited to the fireside chat with Mary Burrow, which you guys sent out the invitation. Should I bring that up? Shad should be able to drive the Tahoe Pursuit.
Please do. Please do.
I am so extremely jealous that he gets to meet her.
I know, it's just a digital thing. I
Oh,
think.
well, still, whatever.
I get to wave at her through a webcam.
That would be amazing. Wave for
I could
me.
hold signs up.
I really, really like her. I like the way she is. and
She's
how-
awesome.
What
All
she
right.
believes in.
Shad,
Yes.
so you don't get to take one home then. That's highly disappointing, I have to tell you. I would be more than happy to evaluate it for you. Anytime you'd like to send it to me to play with, I'd be your friend. Whatever you.
I mean, it's hard for me to say no ever. So if this is a formal request to Nick, then I'm
Yes.
certainly happy to run it up the chain.
We would make a formal request to do this and to have a local police department evaluate it. How about that?
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. The Gresham Police Department, who I've been out with several times, I did the pit maneuver course with them, and I took a brand new competitor vehicle out with them. They actually have a majority of Tahoes in their fleet, so they already use them. So I know they'd love to see the new ones. All right, let's talk about this. So you start with a regular Tahoe, then what happens?
Yeah, exactly. So, let me back up just a little bit. About 20 years ago, GM formed a law enforcement council to specifically look at the needs that pursuit vehicles need. Obviously, when you have a law enforcement vehicle, it needs to be able to overpower whoever you're going after. And there are a lot of needs that are required in a vehicle to make that happen. So we've been building Tahoe pursuit vehicles for about almost 25 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, the next generation, the 2021 model year, Tahoe and Suburban are coming out, which means there's going to be a couple of new options for police departments. We have two models coming out for the police. We have the police pursuit vehicle, which is the vehicle that's used more on a daily basis. It's your high-speed pursuit vehicle that you would see chasing criminals, etc. And then we also have a special service vehicle, and this is more of an off-road type special needs vehicle that you would use under sort of like more extreme circumstances.
Like
rescue,
more
of a rugged vehicle.
Yeah, so search and rescue or wilderness patrol, that type of thing.
Exactly, yeah. With the all-new design of the 2021 model year SUVs, though, there are a lot of inherent improvements that will also benefit law enforcement. Things like more room in the back seat, a wider back door so that you can get folks in and out much easier. Obviously, the independent rear suspension and the extended wheelbase just adds more space for all of the equipment that these vehicles require for law enforcement.
Right.
And then the driving dynamics. I mean, the ability to go much faster. These vehicles are lighter. They're quicker. All of that are strong needs that law enforcement needs for these types of vehicles.
I know that fuel economy is always an issue for police departments. So you've thrown in the 10-speed automatic transmission, which probably helps a lot with that.
Definitely. The 10-speed automatic with the 5.3-liter V8, which has the dynamic valve, the DSSC, which it allows some of the cylinders to shut off when they're not needed when you're just cruising down the highway.
Nice.
Also, in the whole electrical architecture system in these vehicles is upgraded for pursuit vehicles. So there's like a 760 amp auxiliary battery in these vehicles that allows all of the equipment in these vehicles to run when police are sitting, so they don't have to keep the engine idling. So you're right, fuel economy is important.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, I'm reading through the specs here. Top speed of 140 miles an hour. Let's hope they don't have to go faster than that, but that's pretty fast for a big SUV. Really good 0 to 60 mile an hour time. And I like the fact you put 20-inch wheels on them, because the one thing I noticed about Gresham Police Department's Tahoes that they have, the wheels always put like the cheapest wheels on them possible, because they often get curbed. I mean, you have 3 different guys driving the vehicle in 24 hours, and it's on the road constantly in 24 hours. The wheels get mashed up. So
yeah, exactly.
You put nice.
Well, I love our designers. They used the Z71 model to be the sort of the platform for these pursuit vehicles, and it's so badass. I mean, it looks aggressive. It looks like if it's something you spot in your rearview mirror, you're going to pull over. So I'm glad that they went that route, because it looks the part.
Right. When does it arrive, or when can law enforcement order it?
So we're doing demonstrations now. We just reopened our assembly plant in Arlington, Texas, to start building these things. I think that you'll probably be seeing them on the road, hopefully not behind you, at the beginning of next year.
All right. Big thumbs up for that one. Shad, I really enjoy talking to you, and I'll really enjoy when this arrives in my driveway in the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. You're a good friend, and I love you very, 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 very much.
Likewise, guys. I'm happy to deliver it to both of you.
Oh, yay!
Hey,
Thanks, Shad.
Thanks, Shad.
Shad works for Chevrolet, and you can see all of that, of course, at their website, the new Tahoe Pursuit. It's suited up for duty. All right, stand by. We've got more Our Auto Expert on the way. What do you got to look forward to in the rest of the show? There there is a new Toyota Venza coming out. Will it meet the expectations of the old one? We'll talk to Andrew Quillin about the new TLX. Looks a bit like a spaceship. And Dominick from Subaru will share details on a new vehicle. Stand by. It gets great from here on out.
You're listening to the Our Auto Expert podcast.
This is Our Auto Expert. Our Auto Expert is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can start a conversation with us, ask a car question, direct messages. Our Auto Expert is where 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily. I have to say, many people don't know this, but the truth is the first edition of the Toyota Venza was my favorite vehicle, period, hands down ever, for a family vehicle. It's not my favorite supercar, obviously, but it's a great family vehicle. And it was probably about 10 years ahead of its time. Its sales were somewhat lackluster, but it was a cross between a sort of a minivan and an SUV. It had all the utility of a minivan, but at the same time, it had this sort of look of an SUV. It drove well. It was low, wide. If you ever saw this going down the freeway and you looked at the back end, it looked super wide and super planted and very, very masculine. And I love that look of it. And glad to say, Toyota are rebirthing the Venza. Ryan is joining us from Toyota Marketing to talk about the Venza. So, Ryan, first of all, do we know why Toyota decided to bring the Venza back?
Hey, Nick. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
And thanks so much for having me. Yeah, that's a great question. You know, Toyota has always really wanted to make sure we're listening to our dealers and as well as our customers, and we really saw an opportunity within our current lineup of crossovers. You know, looking at our RAV4 and our Highlander, you know, we saw an opportunity there to bring an all new crossover into the lineup that really focuses on design, technology, and that amazing hybrid powertrain. And so, you know, we think that it's a great fit and something that consumers will love because it just gives them more options to meet all of their mobility needs.
I already love it, but I love it even more the fact that hybrid comes standard now.
Yeah, that's right. So this vehicle is 100% hybrid and 100% all-wheel drive, and that's the only way it'll be offered. And we think that's great, you know, because the hybrid powertrain is going to give the driver a lot of, you know, really, really amazing benefits. You know, from an MPG perspective, it's really going to be class leading. We're looking at about 40 MPG manufacturer estimated combined. You know, as well as all of the other great benefits that a hybrid powertrain provides, you know, low NVH, a really smooth acceleration and quiet interior cabin, you know, and I think the type of consumer that's going to be looking at Venza will really appreciate that.
I think the idea that it also comes packed with technology as well. When you start to read down some of the technology features and elements that it has, I mean, we can start really right at the beginning where you've put in something that a lot of car companies wish they were able to do, but technologically they can't because of the framework they had. And because you built this on the new TNGA-K platform, you're able to put a fixed panoramic glass roof with a frosted control inside. Now, I presume, not knowing this, but the frosted control means that you can either frost it or unfrost it, so you can see through it or you can just make it opaque.
Yeah, that's right. So we're calling this new technology Stargaze. It's an all new fixed glass roof that we're introducing on Venza, and that's right. It uses electricity to allow the user to change the essentially the color of the roof from a frosted to a transparent state at a touch of a button. The transition's instantaneous and really allows the driver to sort of tailor the interior cabin to what they're looking for, right? If you want to brighten up the interior, make it feel a little bit more airy and a little bit more open, you know, the frosted roof really helps achieve that while cutting some of that direct sunlight. You know, and if someone wants to take a look and do some stargazing or check the weather or get a better look at their surroundings, you know, the transparent mode also allows them to do that. So it's a really interesting and all new feature for this vehicle as well as for Toyota. We're really excited about that. But to your point, this new Venza has a lot of additional great technology. One of the favorite things for me would be the new 12.3-inch touchscreen that we're putting on this vehicle. It includes JBL, a JBL audio system, which is great. So I love music, I love big screens and tech. So that's probably my personal favorite feature. And once you get into a Venza and you experience that, it's hard to go back. But it's packed with a lot of additional technology. An available 7-inch MID, our digital rearview mirror, available 10-inch head-up display. So for someone who's really looking for great technology in the cabin, I think the Venza will definitely deliver.
Now, I have a Toyota family member in my garage. I have a Lexus GX, and one of the things I like about it is safety, and you have not left out safety in the new Venza.
Yeah, that's definitely true. For safety is one of the most important things for us as a brand, and this vehicle is no exception. So our Toyota Safety Sense 2.0 is going to be standard on every grade of Venza, and that includes things like lane tracing assist and full speed dynamic radar cruise control, pre-collision system with pedestrian and cyclist detection, automatic high beams, road sign assist. So essentially all of our best standard safety technology is going to be on this vehicle.
It also is going to have heads-up display, which I think is a great idea. Usually you'd have to buy yourself a BMW or a Mercedes to get that, but now it's coming in the Venza.
Yeah, absolutely. The limited grade is going to be available with that 10-inch color head-up display, giving a lot of great key information on the vehicle. So from a tech perspective, as well as a safety perspective, that's a great addition.
It's always interesting to me, just heard you do it there, whether you call it a heads-up display or a head-up display. There's always plenty of arguments in this. I always like to call it heads-up display because multiple heads get in behind the steering wheel and read it, even though only one reads it at once. But a lot of manufacturers call it head-up display because there's only one driver at any one time. The argument will go on forever. 9 speakers in that 9 speakers in that JBL audio system.
That's correct. So 9 speakers, and it's also got a 1,200-watt amplifier. So a lot of great power in this vehicle, and it's an amazing sound system for sure.
What's the name of the technology you have in the Highlander? Is it Speakeasy, where you can talk to people in the back seat? Does it have that?
On this vehicle, it doesn't because it doesn't have a third row. So this vehicle is a crossover, but it's going to be a 5-passenger, so 2-row crossover vehicle versus our Highlander, which is offered in that 3-row configuration.
Yeah, I think you guys put it in the 3-row because Mom or Dad can't reach back and slap knees in the 3rd row, so they had a way to scream at people in the back seat. All right, let's talk about what do we know about? Do we know anything about fuel economy, availability, where it's going to be priced? You said it fits between the RAV4 and the 4Runner somewhere. Do we know any other information, or are we going to have to wait closer to on-sale date?
Right. So, we do have some preliminary manufacturer estimated MPG right now. And so, on our LE grade, we're looking at about 40 combined.
Wow.
And XLE limited is going to be 39, just because it has a slightly larger wheel. So really, when you look at this vehicle versus, what we think is going to be our competitive set, it's a really compelling and really class-leading vehicle in that respect. In terms of pricing, we haven't announced it yet. That is to come, but it will be on sale later this year in August. So you won't have to wait too long to get your hands on one, and pricing will be available soon. And
it also comes with 2-year Toyota Care as well.
Yes, that's true with every single vehicle in our lineup. And as a hybrid, one thing I also think it's great to mention is we recently just changed our hybrid battery warranty. So now our hybrid batteries are offered with 10 years or 150,000 miles, whichever comes first. So just give our guests more peace of mind when they're looking at vehicles with this type of powertrain.
I look at the pictures that are on the media pack that we received from Toyota to go through some of the specs on this vehicle. And there is a picture there of it in the studio from front on with the lights on. and it has a completely different look than I think I've seen on the front end of a Toyota before. Sort of the styling is this the sort of a new generation?
I totally agree. I think when you look at this vehicle, it looks like nothing else in our lineup. And so I would say with this all-new Venza, design is really important. And so, we think it's really sophisticated. The front end that you mentioned has some really, really amazing lighting. So, we've got available projector LEDs with that dual daytime running lamp up front, which really gives it a unique look. But when you even move toward the back of the vehicle, we've designed the taillights to be incredibly thin and extends all the way across. So it just really gives the vehicle such a sophisticated look. And I think, especially when you're driving at night, it's going to look really great.
Yeah, it does have a really nice light bar that stretches all the way across. In fact, the lighting inside of this vehicle is pretty outstanding. If you look at all the pictures that have been issued, exterior lighting, the side silhouette, the shapes and features in this vehicle, even the inside features of the vehicle.
Very modern.
Really, very good.
Modern. I love it.
All right, well, we'll look forward to getting the opportunity to test drive it when they arrive in my driveway, since we're not doing short leads. But listen, thank you for taking some of your weekend out to tell us about the brand new Venza. I am looking forward, Ryan, to it coming to dealerships at the end of the year. Hopefully it will retain the position of my favorite family vehicle in North America. And the Venza, of course, is that 5-seater two-row SUV which Americans are so hungry for. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about what vehicles were in our driveway: the Toyota Camry TRD and the Mercedes AMG GLC43, plus on the way, the new Acura TLX.
You're listening to Our Auto Expert.
Your smart speaker can be your radio. Just say, "Hey Google, hey Alexa," or "Hey Siri." Our Auto Expert play the radio show, and all previous episodes of the podcast are available. Hours of endless fun. I'm Nick Miles from Our Auto Expert radio show, where 2 million Americans find their automotive news daily. Most people are not familiar with world car companies outside of the United States. Do you know any car companies outside of the United States, Jen? Car companies that aren't sold in America but that are sold in other countries?
Yeah.
All right, go.
Renault.
Renault, yeah. Good one. Peugeot, Citroën.
Yes. What I can't remember. It starts with a K. Keurig. I can never say it right.
Keurig?
That's a coffee maker.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Where's it from?
Pagani.
They're sold in the United States.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
You can't buy a Pagani in the United States, can you?
I've seen Paganis in the United States plenty of times. You don't see Renaults on the streets in the United States, do you? Not very rarely, not unless it's 1970s.
Renault. I had one.
Yeah.
I did. It was my first car.
It was a clown car, wasn't it?
No, actually.
My brother-in-law always says, "Don't slam the car door too hard on the Renault. The paint comes off."
No, my computer chip went out. That was my problem.
Oh, all right, yeah, all right. Well, there was a problem. Here's the deal. So there is an Indian car company. Well, Tata Motors, who own Jaguar Land Rover, they make cars in India. There's an Indian car company called Mahindra, who also operate in the United States, and they just got smacked down by Jeep in court because they were making a vehicle that looked extremely like the Wrangler. In fact, before the show started, I had Jen look at a picture of it really quickly, and I was like, "Hey, Jen, look at this." And she looked at it, and I said, "What is it?" And she goes, "It's a Wrangler." But it's not, is it? When you look closely, it's not a Wrangler.
It's a knockoff.
It's a knockoff. It's called the Roxor, Roxor, and Jeep went after them to say that they had knocked off the Wrangler and they used their intellectual property rights. Well, the story is that U.S. regulators ruled that India's Mahindra Motors Limited have violated the intellectual property rights of FCA, Jeep's brand, and that they are no longer allowed to sell or produce the Mahindra's vehicle, the Roxor off-road utility vehicle, in the United States. And so FCA won that battle. Interestingly enough, I noticed a lot of foreign companies sort of making very similar vehicles to some vehicles that are super successful. There was a Chinese company that had the same problem after they made the Jaguar Land Rover knockoffs. I think it was the LR2 that they had taken, and they had sort of copied it, and they got smacked down for copyright infringement. So it's interesting to see people trying to copy some of the designs around the world. Didn't work for Mahindra, although the vehicle looks kind of fun. I'm not sure how safe it is, but it looks kind of fun. It's like a small Jeep Wrangler. But you should go Google it. The Roxor from Mahindra. That's interesting. We've had a bunch of interesting cars that test drive this week. We used one of the features to get here, didn't we, Jen?
Yes, we did.
What was it? You remember what it's called?
What 3 words?
Yeah. So we'll have these guys on soon. But what
So
3
it was
words?
email, pool, gallons was our station.
Yeah. So the basic thing is, every 3 meters squared around the world, every 3 meters has 3 words that identify those 3 meters. And you can put those 3 words into a GPS system, and it will take you to that 3 meter square. And it works on your cell phone too. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to meet friends downtown somewhere, and you're saying, "I'm standing under this light pole," and they're like, "We can't find you," and you type in or in a busy nightclub, every 3 meter square in that nightclub has its own. And it will direct you to those 3 meters square. And it does it in the GLC43 that we've.
Yes, it was. And we're going to have the co-founder and CEO next week on air with us to talk about
It's super interesting about how
fun.
it works, and he'll explain more of it. But it's very cool. Can you imagine if you were the guy that had to give every 3 meters square its own words?
That would be fun. I would love it.
It might be fun for about 3 months, and after that you'd be like, "Save me now."
Can I make up words?
No, you have to use existing words.
Mine, if I could, it would be cars. It would be 3 cars.
Yeah, but you'd run out of car names pretty quickly.
No, I meant for my 3 square miles. What would
3 square meters?
Meters. What would yours be if you could have?
I already wrote mine down somewhere. I think I posted it online.
No, what do you want it to be?
Oh. Labrador, Beagle, German Shepherd. Or Labrador, Beagle, Shepherd. There we go.
Oh, really? Mine would be Steelers, Chevrolet, family.
I'm not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. The other vehicle that we've been driving is the Toyota Camry TRD. So Toyota, if you have a truck, you've seen the TRD trucks, you may be familiar with them. The Toyota racing division, they just sort of do the off-road racing trucks, those type of things. They're very cool, but now they've turned that into doing cars. They've done the Avalon and the Camry. The Camry starts around $32,000. It's 301 horsepower, 22 miles a gallon in the city, 31 on the highway. It weighs about 3,500 pounds, 16-gallon tank. And this vehicle is super fast, but Jen loves the way it looks.
I do. I like that sporty look. Floating
roof, blacked out plastic cladding, big red vehicle with red spoiler, red seats. What color are the steering wheels?
I don't know. I haven't got into it.
What color are the seatbelts? You should look at the seatbelts because that's also a big thing for you. What did I have that had yellow seatbelts the other day?
The Lamborghini.
No, was it the Lamborghini? Oh, blue seatbelts in the Veloster M.
In the Veloster. And then the AMG has the red.
Yes, but you know what the Mercedes-Benz M8 has? It has a stripe. It has stripes on the steering wheels, which I think is even more impressive.
Ooh.
It has red and blue stripes on the steering wheel, on the seatbelt, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
So the Camry TRD is a whole bunch of fun to drive. I noticed a lot of car companies doing these sort of super performance versions of their regular cars too.
It's smart because that's what everybody's doing is they're souping up their cars to look like that aftermarket.
A lot of times they just make them look cool. They don't actually do anything. So VW does I think it's the R line. Mm-hmm. It just has a different badging and different wheels and that sort of thing. But I like it when the vehicle's actually a little bit more sporty and performancy.
Right.
Like 301 horsepower on the Camry TRD.
Right.
Racetrack that, baby.
And it's got 4 doors, so you don't have to pay much insurance.
Well, I don't know how that
Your
works.
insurance
it's
is
a
lower
TRD, though.
But
it's a race version. It has 301 horsepower.
It's got 4 doors.
What 19-year-old? Did I tell you the story about David, the kid that collects our cans every week?
No.
We have a kid that comes to the door and collects our cans. He's doing it for years. He takes them. We thought it was for the church, but I think it's to help him get gas money. And he's just a very industrious kid. Really nice Russian kid, about 6'2", he's 17 years old. Really nice kid. Comes to the door, gets the cans every week. Mm-hmm. Last week he came to the door, almost had a seizure. because we had the M8 850 Xi convertible, and he goes, "I've never seen one. Can I sit in it?" So I took him for a ride.
Yeah.
And then I found him on Instagrammed He came over the next day too. He's my new best friend. He's coming over and test driving all the cars, or not test driving, riding in all the cars that we have in the driveway. He's so excited.
Well, I think the Camry's definitely viewed towards younger people with this edition.
Yes, it absolutely is. All right, stand by. There's more Our Auto Expert on the way. A packed show coming for you, including the new Acura TLX.
You're listening to the Our Auto Expert podcast.
Locally created, nationally celebrated, from the southeast to the northwest. This is America's car radio show. If it has a throttle, we'll feature it on air, online, on smartphone, or on smart speaker. This is Our Auto Expert, where 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily. I am your host, Nick Miles, along with truck girl Jen, who it is my job to give an extremely hard time to for the whole show. You're used to that by now, aren't you?
I am, and that's okay.
Is it unnecessary?
You're just you. You do you. Don't worry about it.
And you do you.
That's right. And I'll kick you later.
Ooh, I've just been threatened. Look at that. I think when I first got the opportunity to drive was a 1972 Range Rover. I drove it on the farm when I grew up. And that's how I sort of learned to drive. And I used to go collect the eggs from the hen house in it, drive all the way down to the hen house and do it. And that was my love of driving. And now I enjoy, a lot of off-road vehicles, but also enjoy sporty, very sleek, sexy family sedans. We have owned an Acura.
Along with wagons and big SUVs.
Yes.
And yes, you just love your industry.
The only thing I don't like is cheap and nasty.
In cars or other things.
Oh, in everything. Who does like cheap and nasty?
I know, right? Gross.
So, as a family, we have owned an Acura TLS in 2003, I think, 2006, something like that. I can't remember. It was a 2006, I think. And we owned that for about 3 years. So, when I was at Pebble Beach the last time to see the new TLX concept was extremely exciting. And then to actually to see the new TLX revealed, that was amazingly exciting. So I was really glad to see it when it was on the stand. And the final vehicle is ready to go, soon arriving at dealerships. Joining us on the phone, Andrew Quillin, to talk about it. He is from Acura Public Relations. Or I think you wear multiple hats, don't you, Andrew?
Yeah, there's a few, but yeah. Acura PR is my official title.
All right. So finally, the new TLX is here. It doesn't really look like a production car. It looks very much like a concept, but I'm assured it is a production car.
It definitely is. I mean, when we showed that concept last year at Pebble, we said, we intend to bring this to market. And I think when you see the new TLX and definitely the TLX Type S in person, it delivers. Dimensionally, they're almost identical. The width, the wheelbase, none of that changed from the concept to the production car.
A few things always have to change because designers like to put things on concept cars that unfortunately aren't legal. But when I look at this, if you go to the Future of Sports Sedans page where Acura have the new TLX on display, you have an A-Spec, an Advanced, and a Type S. And actually looking at them, I like the red. I think the red really shines. But the concept one you did was in this sort of very interesting blue color, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So we called it Double Apex Blue. And we won't have that exact paint offered on the production model, but there is Apex Blue, which is very, very similar and is just a really nice-looking, sporty-looking blue.
The idea of this, too, is that it sort of still sits in the Acura family. I can look at the front of this vehicle. I can see the Acura grille. I can see a car which I can tell is an Acura. But at the same time, it sort of jumped forward in design to be the newest and the latest of what Acura have to...
With the lights.
Yeah, the lights are great. So you sort of done you sort of jumped forward and taken Acura design to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so RDX was the first of this all-new generation of design, and TLX builds on that. So there's a lot of similarities, but then things like the lights that you mentioned are a totally new version. So we've had jewel eye LEDs for a while on our models. This is a new iteration of that with 4 LED elements on either side. And what's really cool when you see the car in person is the high lamps and the low lamps are in the same element. So all 4 of those are always illuminated no matter what the lighting pattern is. So you get the same kind of signature from the vehicle at all times.
I love the idea too. When I look at the wheels, it almost looks like you have 2 wheels in one. So you have these sort of 5 spoke wheels, but then inside each spoke, you've almost looks like you've got another element. That was very cleverly done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, trying to create add some emotion, add some great style. There's a lot of great wheel options available. The Type S is going to have 2 wheel options, including a lightweight wheel that is very, very similar to what we offer on the NSX.
So red seats on the inside. It pretty much has to have red seats if it's a performance sedan these days, right?
Absolutely.
And also, you've brought the technology that out of the RDX and put in the touchpad and the push button shifter.
Yeah. All that technology carries forward. So the true touchpad interface is going to be on our TLX now. We brought that ELS 3D system that's just incredible from the RDX. That's now going to be available on TLX. All that great stuff we brought forward to TLX.
I hope you have Elliot Shiner tune the system because he was always great at doing that. On the outside, it looks great. On the inside, it looks great. But what everyone wants to know is what powers it under the hood.
All right. Well, I can give you a lot of detail on one of the engines and a little bit on the other. So starting off, we will have a 2-liter turbo, and that will go on sale in fall. That's going to have 272 horsepower, nice. 280 pounds of torque. Basically puts it at the top of the class. More power than the 3 Series, the A4, the C-Class. Type S is going to arrive later, next spring. That's going to be the first model to feature our new 3-liter turbo. All-new engine for Acura. It's going to be amazing. I can't tell you the power specs yet, but I can tell you it's going to be a fantastic engine. Honda, Acura, we're known for our engine engineering, and this thing is going to deliver.
I noticed from one of the pictures, my friend, it has quad exhaust. Are those real? Do we have an engine so big it needs quads?
Well, quad exhaust is kind of a Type S signature. The TL Type S in 0708 had quad exhaust that looked similar. Right. So that was part of the design directive, and they are real exhaust tips. They're not built into the fascia. They're real exposed exhaust finishers.
I like that idea as well. What do you call the grill? So you have these sort of, I don't even know how to explain it. It's so difficult. So grill in the old days used to be chrome slats across the front. Now you have these sort of protruding dots or I don't know, what do we call them? How do we explain that?
It's got a very elegant name. It's called the Diamond Pentagon. Okay. So you have those diamond elements in the grill. You have a pentagon shape for the grill itself, and then there's a couple different versions depending on which car you get. So if you get the A spec, you get a dark grill finish with dark diamonds. On the Type S, because you have a bigger engine, you need more air coming in. We've done an open surface diamond pentagon that's really, really cool. So that's going to be a unique element just for the Type S models.
And presumably that you'll have some different fascias so you can tell just apart from the grille, which is Type S and which one is the A-Spec, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Type S is going to have a number of differentiators from the outside, that grille being one. You have dark finish all around. The headlights, the taillights are darker. Unique wheels, Brembo brakes. That's going to be a Type S exclusive. So yeah, you'll definitely notice the Type S when you see one.
I like how they emboss the seats with the Type S name.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Is this, now I'm seeing one of these pictures here, it has real wood down the sides of the dash that encompasses the shifter. Is it real wood or does it just with a red stripe?
It is real wood, yeah. So the materials on the interior, the leather, the aluminum, the wood, all of that's real, authentic materials.
All right, let's get to what's really important on this vehicle. When will we be able to test drive it?
So like I said, the 2-liter is going to be going on sale early fall.
Yeah.
So not too long for that model, and then the Type S will come in spring.
Presumably, you because of COVID-19, you probably won't be doing a regular journalist reveal, but you'll be shipping the cars to people, or are you planning on doing something in the fall?
We're figuring that out. It's super important that we get give you all the media the opportunity to drive the car, and so we're gonna figure out what's most appropriate and what's safe, and so we're working those details out. But absolutely, you're gonna get time in the car, Nick. Don't worry.
I have my Union Jack bandana, and I'm willing to fly.
He gets for some reason he gets real panicky. It's like I have to drive this car. It's like can't wait.
We owned one. We owned a TLS.
Yeah, but not this one.
No, we owned it's a family car. I want to drive it.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We might want to buy one.
Okay.
You can't stop me. You're not my real mom.
Oh, my God. Commercial soon.
When I like my cars, I like my cars. Andrew, I look forward to seeing it in my driveway. We don't have any idea where price is going to fall on this?
No, we have a good idea. So starting at around mid-30,000s.
Oh,
nice.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah. So very competitive. Yeah.
And probably over the 40,000 mark when the 3-liter comes next year?
Certainly over 40, yeah. When you could look at some competitors, V6 power competitors like an Audi S4 to kind of give you a ballpark idea of where we're going to start.
That starts at 36,000. So I kind of the Audi 4 series starts at 36. The S is like 42, I think. All right.
The S is going to be higher 40s.
Yeah, I'm gonna start counting my change right now. Andrew Quillin, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for telling us about the brand new Acura that will be coming to dealerships this fall. The TLX, it just does look like a concept car.
I love it.
It still looked to me, I can't believe they've actually made it. All right, more Our Auto Expert on the way.
You're listening to Our Auto Expert.
Catch up with previous episodes of the show on our website, ourautoexpert.com. You can hear past shows, see our automotive videos, and read insider car stories about your next ride. Our Auto Expert is where 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily at Our Auto Expert and ourautoexpert.com. New cars are all the rage right now. Lots of car companies revealing vehicles, but not in the traditional way at auto shows or at off-site events where they gather a bunch of journalists in a room and they pull the sheets off of a vehicle, the silks as they like to call them. They slide them off, and with beautiful people stand there, and people with accents tell you all about the car and how they designed it and why they came up with it. A lot of them are being done digitally. Now, we had to fill in a blank for this one because we didn't really know what was being announced because we had to book the interview in.
And we're guessing.
We're guessing what it is. But Dominick from Subaru is here, and Dominick will give us all the dirty on the inside.
What do you think it is?
Well, I've looked at the website, so I kind of think I know.
But I think I know, too.
Is it the new 2021 CrossTrek, Dominick?
That's correct, yeah.
Yay!
We guessed right. Because we didn't know.
I had no idea.
Tell us.
You're so excited, yeah.
Well, we are. So this has been a huge seller. For, the CrossTrek was a sort of a secret hit for Subaru because a lot of people wanted sort of an SUV, but they really liked the Subaru, and this is sort of it's sort of an SUV, but it's also sort of a hatch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a unique size. It's about the perfect car. I would say for a city car. It's got just enough size. You can put a bunch of stuff in the back. You can take it for weekends off-roading, but also it's easy enough to maneuver through the city, and it's easy enough to park, because it's really not a large SUV, but you do get the higher seating position that people tend to like.
I know that when I went to Hawaii, to Kona, for the launch of the Hyundai Kona, and everything they showed off about the Hyundai Kona was compared to Subaru. They're like, we're doing this because Subaru are doing it. We're doing this because Subaru are doing it. We're doing this because Subaru are doing it. The interesting thing was the Kona wasn't quite as big as the CrossTrek. The CrossTrek, I think, is probably one of the largest vehicles in its class, isn't it?
It's towards the top range of that class, but I think the real differentiator when you get to something like the Kona is the CrossTrek is designed to go off-road. It's got much more ground clearance.
Yeah.
It's got the 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which the Kona doesn't have. So it's a bit better for actually off-roading or for deep snow and things like that. But, the Kona's a nice package. It's a bit smaller. We tend to, this fits underneath the Forester, so it's smaller than a Forester, but it's kind of at the larger end. So sometimes we'll get cross-shop with the RAV4s and things that would be more directly in competition with the Forester.
Right.
But the one we're announcing now, the big news is we finally have put the 2.5 liter engine in.
Yep,
That's 182 horsepower, and that's really the big. And it's a refresh of the current model, but it's a refresh with a new engine, which we're very excited about. It's an engine we've wanted for quite some time, and it really will improve performance.
I think.
The regular 2 liter is there as well.
Yeah, I think everybody really loved everything about the vehicle, but they wanted a little more power, and that's obviously being met with 182 horsepower. And plus, it probably works better with the off-roading portions. That you put the X mode in it. You even have a new trim level as well.
Yeah, so we've come out with we debuted something on the new Outback called the Onyx XT, and this is similar to that. This is a sport trim model, but it's got the same interior, so it's got this StarTex, we call it, material, which is essentially it's a polyurethane type material. It's not vinyl, so you don't sweat in it, and it doesn't get overly heated. So it's a great sports vehicle in the sense that very easy to wipe down. You can wash it down with a wet cloth, things like that, and it doesn't sweat on you in high temperatures. So it's great for somebody who's using biking and running and doing things like that, and having dogs in and out of the car.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, for someone like me that has 5 dogs, and of course Subaru is the dog brand, so you have 5 dogs, they never can get into a car without muddy paws. Even if it's dry, they'll find, especially the Labrador, he'll find a puddle anywhere and get it in the car. So it's much easier to clean. Let's talk about the eyesight system, because that comes in this vehicle. It's not necessarily a new edition, but I think, and I see people copying you now, the eyesight system has some elements of genius in it, because Subaru tended to look at people's behavior, and this is why I'm getting my dad into a Forester, is because he's the sort of guy that will turn to me and chat to me in the car when traffic pulls away in front of it. And one of the systems does is like, hey, pay attention, the car in front of you is moving, right?
Correct. Yeah, it has it is a driver monitoring system, but this also adds, which the CrossTrek didn't have, is a new lane center assist feature that will actually steer the car and actually maintains the vehicle in the center of the lane, and it'll actually also latch on to the car in front of you now and keep you following the car in front of you through curves and things like that. So it's got a couple of new features in addition to the standard eyesight, and the eyesight system has been the top recommended system, by IIHS, and it's a dual camera system, so it works a little bit quicker than a single camera or a radar system, because it is a dual camera, so it can react a little bit more quickly.
As it should be. I think it probably is one of the best systems out there for all of the safety and security features that it puts into this car. Now, Dominic, I know you're not going to want to answer this question because journalists, I'm sure, beat you up about asking these sort of questions, but doesn't this vehicle warrant a WRX or STI version of it? I mean, doesn't it warrant a nice high-performance engine for a bit of desert racing? I mean, it looks like it's calling out for that.
Well, I mean, I know there's been a few that have been made up and turned into CrossTreks, and it's a great idea. We love it. But, right now we are in the development stage of the next generation WRX and STI. So, because that vehicle is going to be kind of coming out in the future, it would be wouldn't make sense right now to look backwards and look to doing the stuff that's on a current car. So it would make more sense to wait if anything like that would ever happen, to do it down the line. But I know that we have had STI versions of the Forester in Australia, in a couple other countries, and people do like them. But, I think, we've done so well with the current formula. It's very difficult to go back to Japan and say we need something different.
Right.
And they're saying, you're selling every single one of these.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You need something to fail before the Japanese will change the ship, I'm sure.
Well,
However,
knock on wood, let's hope we don't get to that point. Let's hope we can stay ahead of that.
I'm looking forward to this hitting dealerships. Dominick is from Subaru. He's a great guy, and if you ever want to ride with him in an STI, it'll change your life. Coming up, more Our Auto Experts. Stand by.
You're listening to the Our Auto Expert podcast.
This is Our Auto Expert radio show, and of course, Our Auto Expert is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can start a conversation with it at 100,000 followers. You can just ask us a direct question. We'll have a direct answer for you. So 2 million Americans get their automotive news daily at Our Auto Expert and OurAutoExpert.com. About 1/4 of American drivers surveyed by CarInsurance.com have avoided speeding tickets after giving an excuse to police officers. The most common reasons, and the most respondents said that they didn't know why they were speeding. But CarInsurance.com surveyed 1,000 drivers about speeding and asked them when, why, and how often and they got out of those speeding tickets and what they got those speeding tickets for. Well, Les Masterson is joining us on the phone to talk a little bit about some of those excuses. First of all, let's ask you, Les, and thank you for coming on. I know we've had you on the TV segment already. Thanks for coming back on for the radio segment to talk about this. So first of all, let me ask you, where are the most speeders? Where have people seen an increase in speeding? And really, is this all due to COVID-19?
Well, yeah, that's what we found is that people are saying that 28% of respondents said that they have seen an increase with COVID because with fewer people on the road, people felt that there were fewer police out there looking for them, and also just fewer cars, so they felt safer to when they get on the highway to there's no one in front of them, just go right ahead. We found that people in Georgia and in South Carolina were the most apt to say that they've noticed an increase in speeding since COVID.
But also increases in Ohio, Alabama, and California. Highway Patrol said they've seen an increase of how many people in getting tickets?
Well, it really depends on the state. California was seeing huge numbers. The police themselves there, the state police, were saying they've seen huge numbers of drivers and been handing out more tickets since the pandemic.
So excuses is something we all try to give police officers when we get pulled over. Jen, have you ever been pulled over for speeding? Ever?
Yes, I have. But the funny thing is I thought I was being pulled over for speeding. But, but the guy just wanted to check out my car.
Oh. Were you driving the Camaro?
I was at the T-tops off. I was going about 5 over, and he pulls me over, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you know that you were going a bit fast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was going 5 over." And he goes, "So what do you have under the hood?"
Oh, really?
I got off with a warning.
I got followed into my driveway. So
Yeah.
I pulled into my driveway, and the dog van, like the dog truck, the guy who was driving a truck with a dog in the back from the sheriff's office, he stopped outside my house, and he walked up, and he goes, "Is that the new Hellcat?" I like it when they do that.
I do.
You know, like,
I do.
I don't think I was necessarily speeding. Let's talk about some of those excuses. So when we get down to excuses, by the way, excuses are always weak because everybody knows they were speeding. What are some of the most successful excuses, and what are some of the top excuses people are using?
Well, both as you mentioned, the most popular excuse and also the most successful excuse is they didn't realize they were speeding. A third of our drivers said they used that excuse and got away with that. And a third of the respondents also claimed, yes, they were lying. So
this is why we need heads-up displays on all vehicles.
Not even if they're telling the truth. So that's the top one. And then also late for work. Medical emergency, those were also, that rounded up the top 3. But we also had things like 17% said they had to go to the bathroom, 17% didn't see a speed limit sign, 16% said that they were going as fast as everyone else, which is not always a great excuse when you say, well, everyone else is speeding, so I wasn't too.
I think, but by the way, I think that ignorance of the law, I didn't know I was speeding. That's your own fault. Like new cars nowadays will tell you what the speed limit is where you are, and they'll flash red at you if you're going over it.
Yep.
So, by the way, spank on that one. That's an absolute lie. You shouldn't be able to do it. Is this helping people get away with speeding tickets?
Yes, we found that a third of the people who said that they got away with it used that speeding, that they claimed that they didn't know they were speeding. So it is something that's working, as well as asking for a warning. We found that there's success on that. If people are respectful and say, I didn't, either didn't know I was speeding, or just, can I get out of this? I've never gotten a ticket before. Can you give me a warning? That we found that 63% of people who requested a warning actually got that warning and was able to drive away without a ticket.
Now, in insurance.com, carinsurance.com, you've actually done this for a couple of or several years. How did this differ from last year's survey?
It's pretty consistent. We've little things here or there, like we found this year more women said they were pulled over than last year, those kind of things. But for the excuses and for requesting a warning and getting away with it, it's pretty much each year it's pretty much the same area. Let's
ask, who are worse, men or women?
For who?
For speeding.
For lying?
Well, for either for lying or for speeding excuses.
Yeah, men. We found that men, for all of that, men get pulled over more. Men gave more excuses. We had a higher percentage of men lying than women. So across the board,
because men can't flutter their eyelids that often.
No, when I got pulled over, I told him, I was going 5 over. So
but all right. So you admitted it.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, when you get down into like the 10% of people, I think this is the lamest excuse, and you should probably go to jail for life for this. 10% said they were late for a court appointment. Weak. Seriously, I find that the hardest one. I mean, apart from not speeding, I like the idea that if you ask for a warning, there is a chance that you will be given a warning.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Never even thought about that.
And especially if you haven't gotten a ticket before. If the officer can go back to the cruiser, call in your information and find that yes, you haven't been, you don't have no charges or anything against you. There's a good chance that they'll give you a warning.
I don't want to mess with Fateless, but I will have to tell you that that I haven't had a ticket for quite a while, and I think it's because I'm not really a speeder. I mean, seriously, I know where the speed is. I'll accelerate up to the speed limit, but I don't drive like for long periods of time because I like to hear the exhaust go blah 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 blah. Jen's rolling her eyes at me, by the way.
Yes, I am.
Because honestly, I like to go fast to get you all excited, but then when we hit the speed limit, I'll slow down.
Sometimes.
Are you calling me a liar?
I'm not. I'm pleading the fifth.
Jen always rides with me to the station when we do the radio show. Mm-hmm. So tell me, Les, carinsurance.com tend to, you do these surveys for a lot of different things, but what you guys do is actually help people get a lower insurance rate. Is that right?
Yeah, what we do is we both have an editorial function where we provide all the information people need to make wise decisions, and all types of car insurance questions we answer on those. But we also allow people tools so they can go on there, and when they're searching for different types of insurance, compare multiple quotes. They put in certain information of what they're looking for, and then we provide them with a few different options, so they can go from there.
So a good resource for people who are shopping for car insurance. There's carinsurance.com. What about those people that actually got tickets and headed off to court? Is it worth hiring a lawyer? Did people find that hiring a lawyer ended up better for them, or did they hire a lawyer?
Yeah, we did find that some people did hire a lawyer, and for the most part, they found that it was worthwhile. But others said that they went on their own, which isn't always an awful idea to go on your own if you especially if you feel like you have a ground to stand on in the situation. And that's one thing that if you do wind up appealing the ticket, it's a good idea to be really respectful to the officer when you get pulled over, because if you're a complete jerk, that officer will probably remember you and might be more apt to go to that hearing. And whereas if you're respectful and you just another ticket to this officer, there's a good chance that person will forget you and won't remember, oh, yeah, this is the guy that was doing over 20 and he went past a school bus and, was
Right.
a real jerk. So be as respectful as you can. That could help you in court later.
Yeah, Jan, when you get pulled over, don't be a jerk.
I'm not a jerk.
Okay.
I have a question for you. I see here that you talk about the 6 top insurers and the increasing rates. Who had the biggest increase?
Well, let's see here. I don't, on top of my head, I don't remember, but I will tell you that
Geico.
The places that usually have the lowest rates and advertise the lowest rates are the ones you get hit hard when you actually do get a ticket or get in an accident. So the ones you see on TV promoting the lowest rates, usually you can get the lowest rates if you have a clean record, but once you get nailed with one infraction, your rates go through the roof, which is why it's a really good idea that after you get a speeding ticket especially, to shop around next time your insurance is up.
Yeah, so Progressive and Geico is 31% is what you have here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nationwide was the lowest at 19%.
Increase after you get a ticket?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well,
I have State Farm, that's 27%, and Farmers was 24%.
See, the whole idea is you can shop around. Les Masterson, thank you for
Yes.
coming on from carinsurance.com and telling us some of the lamest excuses, but some of the most successful excuses. By the way, I just think people are lame. If you did it, put your hand up. Don't be saying, oh, I was speeding, officer. I didn't realize. That doesn't work.
That's when you should say, look, I was just having a little fun.
Yeah, well, there you go. Big ticket. Just be respectful and nice. And 17% said they didn't see the speed limit sign. Again, saying that you didn't realize you were doing it is not an excuse for doing it. Oh, officer, I didn't realize I would hit the person with my fist in the bar when I'd had a few drinks. It's a weak excuse. Own up to it. All right, Ma, our auto expert on the way. Stand by.
You're listening to Our Auto Expert.
Your smart speaker can be your radio. Just say, hey, Google, or hey, Alexa, or hey, Siri. Our auto expert radio show can be played. Oh.
Your Google Assistant.
See, Siri got all upset when I said that. Now all of my smart speakers turn on and they want to do different things and they want to play our auto expert on them. I love to do this because I have a Android and an Alexa enabled devices and a Siri enabled device. So as soon as I say that, here we go, they all get pop up. Well, you can turn them into our auto expert. I do that with our Alexa device quite regularly, by the way. You can have hours of endless fun. I'm Nick Miles, and this is our Auto Expert radio show where 2 million Americans get their automotive content daily. I like to see what Perry Stern from Our Auto Expert and MSN Autos has been driving each week, and I was quite interested to see that he had been driving the Porsche Cayman, the 718, which first came around in 2016. Perry, the pictures that you posted were of a bright red one. Is this the same color as the one that you test drove, the bright red?
That is. That's actually the car that I drove in Guards Red, as they call it.
All right. Did you get a ticket?
I did not. Even though some would call this Arrest Me Red.
Yes, or Write Me a Ticket Red.
Arrest Me Red. I love it.
Write Me a Ticket Red, but you managed to skirt away. We just had Les Masterson on the show from carinsurance.com, was telling us the most successful excuse for people with police was, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't realize I was speeding. I think that's weak. If you get pulled over, Harry, what would you say to a police officer?
Oh, it's never going to happen. So we'll just leave it at that.
Why is it never going to happen?
Because I would never exceed the speed limit.
Oh, weak. First of all,
I couldn't say that with a straight face.
Everybody here knows you're lying, by the way, Perry. I've never speeded, officer. I don't know what you're talking about. I
was driving the hottest version of the Cayman, the GT4, so I may have exceeded the speed limit slightly.
There you go.
It's necessary when you overtake, and the guy in the. Do you find this, by the way, when you have a really nice car and you decide accidentally on purpose, whichever the reason may be, to speed in something like the GT4, that the person will like pace you. They'll speed with you you're trying to overtake them, and they'll put their foot down as well. Do you find that?
There are certain cars that, where people will do that, just to kind of show you that, yeah, I could have gone that fast if I wanted to.
Weak. People often, when I overtake them in some very special car, they'll often speed as well, which annoys me, by the way, endlessly annoys me, because they'll always want to try and keep up with you at the same speed. All right, let's ask about this vehicle. Is this worthy of the Porsche name?
It is probably the most worthy of the Porsche name.
Wow.
I mean,
okay.
This is one of the best. I've driven a variety of different Porsches, and this is probably one of the best that I've driven because it is such a pure sports car. No turbos, so it's a normally aspirated six-cylinder engine, so the power just comes on super smooth. I mean, you know that a lot of the exotics and highest performance cars now are supercharged or turbocharged or hybrids or something like that. There aren't a lot of high performance, just normally aspirated engines. And so, you kind of forget how nice it is to have smooth power. And this has got plenty of it. I mean, it's 414 horsepower in a little tiny Porsche Cayman. So it's got plenty of power. And the best part is this actually has a real 6-speed manual gearbox.
Do your neighbors think you have some kind of elusive or illegal career that you do because you show up with really cool cars in the driveway regularly?
Well, they're not always cool, and they're probably wondering really right now because I have a Sprinter van parked in there right now.
Right on.
But, so, you get the good and the bad and the strange, and, the Porsches, I think that was actually probably the worst part about the Porsches. It drove so well that it ruined me for everything. I mean, every other car I've driven since then, and the Sprinter van doesn't really count because it was never going to live up to a Porsche, but they all feel big and heavy and slow because the Porsche was just so quick and agile and,
Did you take it off-roading yet?
Off-roading in the Porsche?
No, the Sprinter.
The Sprinter.
No, this is not an all-wheel drive one, so not like we did in Mudfest a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was
fun.
fun.
Off-roading in an all-wheel drive Sprinter van.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually looks like one I should take to the airport, but we can talk about that.
Are you moving people this weekend? Is that what you'll do when you get a Sprinter van?
Actually, I've been to Home Depot already.
Nice.
and put up. What did you buy at Home Depot? And did it fit in the back of the van?
Everything would fit in the back of this van. I mean, it's a 12-passenger. You can socially distance in this van and still be in the same car.
Hey, honey, you went to see your friend this week, so right in the back of the van, will you, please?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to have to breathe the same air.
The 718 Cayman GT4. Is this something you would put your own money on?
If I had that kind of money, because I don't. Because I mean, this is $100,000 sports car. It's and actually the one I drove I think was up near 110, something like that. But it is about as pure a sports car as I have driven recently, just because it looks fantastic. It's got the proper sports seats that they're snug, they're not too uncomfortable, but they hold you in, and it just makes you happy every time you drive it.
It would make me happy too. By the way, I just Googled Perry Stern and then Porsche, and this was the first article that came up in Google. So you must be a happy man.
Yeah. I was happy until they took it away.
Yeah, it's always sad when they come to take it away. It's worse when you'll get something like the GT4 and they come to pick it up because you've test driven it for a week, and then they drop. And I'm not knocking this in any way, but they'll drop off something like a Toyota Yaris or something. It's like
well, the sad thing was they actually brought me a Mustang convertible to drive after.
Oh, well, all right.
But it ruined the Mustang convertible because immediately it felt heavy and slow, which a Mustang convertible is not. So I've determined that from now on, whenever I drive a car like the Cayman, I need a palate cleanser.
A breather week.
So I need a Camry or a Prius or something in between before I drive another high-performance car.
There you go.
To me, my neighbors are always watching. We have, of course, with COVID-19 going on, we have a lot of people doing walks around the neighborhood, because they're working from home a lot of times, and they'll walk past and they always stop at the mailbox and check out what we have. So,
yeah, it's always fun.
it's interesting to see the neighbors drop in the cars. I always think it's interesting when they bring a trailer to take away the vehicles as well. Because that way, I always feel like I'm having a vehicle repossessed. Like the repo man is here to do it. And no, it's...
Sorry, you did not pay your bills. You have not paid for this Lamborghini. It's going away.
It's the PR car company that are picking them up. But thanks everybody. Perry, do you have a secret road you do 0 to 60 mile an hour tests on?
Well, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret, would it?
Oh, there we go. Perry Stern, you can read the majority of his stuff, especially about this nice German car, the 718 Cayman, on ourautoexpert.com.
You've been listening to Our Auto Expert with Nick Miles. Find all the show episodes at ourautoexpert.com. Please follow us on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Our Auto Expert, and message us for a quick and witty response.